Hello and welcome back to another video. Something a little bit different today. Going to be kind of going on board and showing you some footage from a training ride the other week. Usually held on the first Saturday of the month throughout the summer months. The Alba Rosa Cafe race is a race simulation held on a segment starting just north of Skipton in Yorkshire and looping through Linton, up over Burnsall Fell and finishing at a cafe in Bolton Abbey. The segment is 24 kilometres long and the first half is lumpy, featuring a few kickers which are perfect for launching attacks. The second half is dominated by a climb up Burnsall Fell. The main part of the climb is around 900 metres long with an average gradient of 7.4% and maxes out at 15.5% towards the top. After that it's more or less downhill to the finish, with a final drag up past Stridwood. With the climb up Burnsall Fell, it's fair to say that I'm probably not going to be fighting for the win. However, with real racing just a few weeks away, I was keen to make the racing as hard as possible and see where my legs are at. So yeah, not making any excuses. I was coming into this off the back of my biggest and hardest block of training to date, but I had taken the day off the bike the day before, so the legs were feeling pretty good. Now, usually there would be quite a decent sized group for cafe racing, but with COVID, we decided to split the groups into groups of 12. In my group, there were a number of decent climbers, so my plan was to try and get into a break and hope that we have a decent gap on the group behind going into Burnsall, and fingers crossed they would ride tempo up the fell. So yeah, as you can see, keeping myself quite close to the front of the group, and yeah, launching my first attack up this little ramp. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a gap, but yeah, I didn't want to go too hard because it's still obviously very early on in the on the segment. But I kind of wanted to find out who would come with me and whether they were doing any work. At this point, yeah, I think I got Rob's on my wheel. And he's shouting at me that we've got a gap. So yeah, just riding here at threshold or just over threshold for a couple of about 30 seconds to a minute or so. But unfortunately, Rob doesn't come round. Yeah, I'm looking, as you can see in the shadow there, I'm looking over my shoulder, no one's coming round, so yeah, just knock it back, just going to ride tempo again. Finally in the end, I think, yeah, here comes Banks. So, and then Peter's coming through. So yeah, just I settle back in again, just jump onto Banks's wheel. So as I said earlier, like the beginning of this segment is quite lumpy. So yeah, there's like maybe three or four like points where you can kind of really launch a decent attack. And so yeah, my aim here again is just to kind of stay close to the front of the group. And just, yeah, waiting for someone else to kind of launch something. Trying to keep myself on the outside of Banksy's wheel here, so people have to go right round me, and it also allows me like enough space just to kind of get straight onto that wheel if they do make an attack. Well, we're getting to the steeper part of this little ramp, so I'm having a look over my shoulder at this point, and I'm going, who's going? And in the end, I think I take a final look. Yeah, the pace is starting to slow a little bit. Well, my power's down to like 100 watts. Yeah, perfect time just to stick it in the big ring. I launched another attack. So unlike the first attack, this one I think has a little bit more legs, so I'll carry it on. Yeah, so I've done about 30 seconds here, about 800 watts average. And Nick comes over the top of me. Luckily, I was able to get onto on Grimmy's wheel. And yeah, Nick is driving it hard at the front. I think at this point there's Nick on the front, then Grimmy in front of me, and I think Rob has made it on my wheel again. Yeah, I think at this point I've got some decent riders with me, so I'm pretty much all in. I think going over the top of this little climb, I think George and Dan managed to bridge over, so the group was now 6. So we've got 6 in this group and then a gap and then 6 behind. The people in this group are pretty strong, so that probably gives me the best chance of getting to Burnsall and hopefully over the top with this group. So yeah, I'm pretty motivated to do some work. So the gap seems to be pretty well established now, and I think everyone's in this group's very motivated to stay away. So yeah, we're all rolling through, doing a bit of through and off, and everyone's kind of working quite well. Before this, I'd done quite a bit of work, and to kind of make sure they did stay away. I also found myself kind of in the wrong place in the rotation. I was kind of going down the outside on the faster line. I was behind Dan, who's a little bit smaller than me, so I wasn't getting as much shelter as I wanted to as I was moving up the faster line. So after this rotation, I decided to kind of to skip a turn. So there's a couple of reasons for that. First reason being that I kind of wanted to be behind probably the next biggest rider. And then also Nick is a very strong rider as well, and he was the one that went over the top of me when I attacked, so I wanted to make sure that I could see him in the group, so if he did make another attack I would be on his wheel. So coming into Linton, which is about the halfway point on the route, and the group's been working well together, but yeah, now we're going into a section which is a little bit more lumpy again, as these ramps are quite steep, probably some of them 10, 11, 12%. So yeah, having to put out 600-700 watts just to stay in the group. Yeah, it's pretty hard going. So yeah, through this next section, my aim was just to try and stay as close to the group as possible, because it's unlikely that we're all going to work together. We're not going to all be pulling through, and I just wanted to kind of make sure I was up near the front, saving as much energy as possible, just in case there were any attacks. I was in the right position to kind of to get on that wheel. So we're now on the downhill run into Burnsall, and I've kind of found myself in the wrong position on the front, Grimmy makes a little attack. Grimmy's a really good descender, so I think he wanted to be on the front just to make sure that he was leading it in and being the first person into Burnsall. So yeah, it can be quite sketchy coming through Burnsall with all the parked cars and stuff. So my plan was just to kind of keep the pace high and start the climb quite hard, just so hopefully limit the amount of people going for an attack. Unfortunately, George launches an attack, and pretty much everyone else goes over the top of me. I'm just going backwards at 500 watts, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So instead of trying to go deep, I just thought it best to kind of stick at my own tempo and see if I could ride to the end, holding off the group behind. So now I'm going to skip forward to the final climb. Since I got dropped on Burnsall Fell, I've just been riding by myself, tempo between the two groups, and just as I was getting to the top of the drag to Stridwood, Peter and Banksy managed to bridge over to me, and as I get just over the top of that climb, Peter launches an attack, and it's pretty much downhill now until the end. So even though I was pretty much maxed out going over the top of that last climb, I knew I had to dig deep and to catch Peter back up, otherwise he was just going to sail off into the distance. As soon as I caught up to him, I just thought straight away over the top, it's downhill. Yeah, I should be able to hopefully hold him off. And yeah, there we are, managed to do so. So success. After attacking again on the climb past Stridwood, George managed to get the better of Dan and Grimmy and was able to hold on for the win, and I managed to come home in 6th. As I said at the beginning of the video, real racing is just around the corner, so it was great to get out and try some different tactics and give the legs a real test. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.